It's finally September, which means that this month will be the start of fall, and the new Spellbinders Kit clubs are all about celebrating fall. Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video I'll be sharing a bunch of the new Spellbinders Kit clubs. That means I'll be sharing the kit of the month, the embossing folder of the month, 3D embossing folder of the month, as well as the Glimmer Kit, the new wax seal kit, and the Better Press kit. What's so exciting is since they are all related to fall, they'll all work really well together. Since there are so many, I'm going to jump right into the card making and I'll share the new kit clubs along the way. First up, let's take a look at the card kit of the month. This is the quick and easy card kit of the month. It comes in this nice envelope Ziploc bag. There's cardstock, there's adhesives, there's all kinds of things that make it quick and easy to make cards. So these cardstock pieces are cut into A2. There's 6x6 pattern paper pieces as well. And you can see there's an assortment of really gorgeous colors and patterns. Especially in this month's kit, I felt like a lot of really versatile patterns were available, which makes it really easy to mix and match. And also everything else in the kit coordinates. Here's some puffy stickers, there's some chipboard stickers as well. As you can see, everything is kind of fall oriented. These are puffy little icon stickers. There's a couple little sentiments as well, and some black sequins. These add a real pop onto the rest of the sort of lighter colored of the kit. And here are all the die cuts. Tons of die cuts. There's 2 of each design and there's a ton of designs. So to start with the first card, I have a piece of the cardstock. I cut a piece of the pattern paper down to a larger strip, so mostly the pattern paper is showing. And then I like this where you cut a really slim piece of pattern paper and use it kind of like you would trim or ribbon down the side there. And then a chipboard sticker for the sentiment and adding in some of those little die cuts. So here we have pattern paper, cardstock, chipboard sticker, and die cuts. And this card comes together in a matter of minutes, and it's a clean and simple card to celebrate fall. Here I have pattern paper cut down so that I can layer them on top of each other. Now I cut the green pattern paper down a little bit more than I normally do so that you could really see the plaid in the background. Then I use one of those puffy sticker script thankful sentiments from the stickers, and then a bunch of the different die cuts. So I have some popped up because there are little foam squares that come in the kit and some glued down. Then I'll use those black sequins as flower centers and also as little accents around the card. Because of that black thankful, it's great to bring in another little hint of black here and there. Again, another very simple, quick and easy card to put together. This one literally took like a minute or two. I cut down a piece of pattern paper, matted it onto cardstock, grabbed some of the chipboard and little puffy stickers and placed them right on top. I just love that pattern paper. So I felt like it was a great background and that all these little elements just came together so quickly and easily. I didn't want to add much else. For the next card, I took a strip of pattern paper, this time a thin strip of pattern paper, and I added it onto white cardstock. Yes, there's no white cardstock in this card kit, but I love the look of white cardstock and these elements on top of it. Here's a grid format where I have 3 little elements on the top and 3 on the bottom, and then the sentiment says the little things. And it's just a reminder that the little things like a cozy sweater, a rainbow, a pumpkin, some flowers, and your space at home are the best things there are. Here I am using the 3D embossing folder. You can see that there's a bunch of mushrooms and other fall elements on this. So once I embossed it, I decided to ink blend on top of it with a little bit of Distress Oxide ink, and I have a brown color and then for the center kind of a red color because I love the look of those mushrooms in red. So now I'm using the stitching die of the month, and I've die cut out the pieces and I'm ink blending around the edges just so the background and the die cuts have a similar effect on them. Now for the stitching die, it's very simple. The stitching die cuts out several elements of 2 different sized mushrooms. And there's also a die that cuts out leaves and 2 dies for sentiments. One says thanks and one says hello. The stitches are very simple. There's not a ton of them for each of the elements, so you can get them done pretty quickly. You can see here I've done both mushroom tops and now I'm using some silver thread on the underside of the mushroom cap as well as the stem of the mushroom. There's also kind of the top of the stem that goes on top of that doesn't even have any stitching. So there's not a ton of stitching involved in this kit, but there's definitely enough to make it look like that hand spun or hand stitched look. So you can use some liquid glue to adhere the underside of the mushroom caps onto the caps themselves. That'll give it a 3-dimensional look. Also, the larger mushroom has some spots on it, so you'll want to back it with a piece of cardstock. The 2 dies come separately, so you can cut out the stitch elements and the background separately. Now for the stems, again, you're just going to use some liquid glue because you're working on adhering things to thread in many cases here. And so you'll want a good strong liquid glue. I'm using the My Sweet Petunia glue precision press and the Nuvo glue that came with the kit. And I found it to adhere very nicely these elements down to thread or paper or ink or anything else. So now I have the hello sentiment on my 3D embossed background. I adhered down the leaves. I only cut 1 set of leaves for this card. Later you'll see a card where I cut 2, and I trimmed off the bottom so that I could hide that behind the tiny mushroom. Just a really cute card. Yes, this takes a little more time than the quick and easy card kit, but not too much time as far as the stitching or anything else. Here's the card where I have 2 leaves cut out. So I'm going to use these 2 stems and leaves as the background. Now I've embossed the very background with that same 3D embossing folder. So it has the mushrooms, but it's white. So I didn't ink blend on this one, and it's a more subtle look. So decide what you want. You want the background to really pop out and you want to be able to see those mushrooms, maybe add some ink blending. But if you don't mind a nice subtle background, just use the white and it looks really pretty too. I grabbed a couple of the die cuts from the Quick and Easy card kit, that butterfly, and then that little grouping of blue flowers. And then I finished this off by adding some Spellbinders pearls. Now these didn't come in the kit, but I thought they looked nice on the mushroom stitching and on the blue flowers and butterfly. For this card, I'm using the embossing folder of the month, and you can see there's kind of long stems and leaves, and I thought a cluster of die cuts on top would look really pretty. Plus, I cut that embossed background down to 4 by 5 1/4 so I could mat it on some of the pattern paper from the card kit. Remember how I mentioned that all these kits really worked well together because they're all fall related. So this is an example of that. Like I mentioned, I'm creating a cluster of leaves and flowers from the die cuts from the card kit of the month. And then I have a chipboard sticker that I actually put foam adhesive behind so I could pop that up on top. For this card, I'll be using the Better Pressed kit of the month. This is one of the newer kits of the month. There's 2 Better Press plates and then there's a die to cut out the sentiment. So using the Better Press, I'll adhere down with some tape the Better Press cotton press cardstock right in the A2 center. Then I'll put the Better Press plate on the A2 magnetic platform and I'll ink it up with Better Press ink. Flip over the cardstock and you can see the magnets at the top and bottom. They help you to line everything up. Then run it through your die cut machine just like that. No other plates needed. So you can see how easy it is to letterpress with this system and get gorgeous results. Once I've letterpressed the design, I let it dry for a minute or 2, but I did not even let it dry that long. Really, once it's pressed into that paper, if you're using the Spellbinders cotton press cardstock, it's in there and it's not coming out or smearing or anything. So I'm using some Distress Oxide ink with small shader brushes right on top. I'm not being very detailed about my coloring. I'm just putting down some color in different areas so it looks like each of the flowers is a slightly different color and the leaves are colored in as well. I added a couple of different greens for that too. So like I mentioned, I'm not doing perfect coloring here, just kind of getting colors in certain areas. And it ends up, I think because of the detail of the letterpress, still looking really, really pretty. Then I used the die cut letterpress sentiment that says thankful for everything you do and put that on the card, as well as some gems from Spellbinders just for a little bit of dimension and accent to even one of the largest flowers. The Glimmer Kit this month has this large sunflower foil plate and a die to cut that top of that out, as well as a sentiment and a die to cut out the sentiment. So you can see I'm lining up the bottom of this cardstock slightly above the bottom of the plate so that it goes from the bottom edge and it's flush to that bottom edge. And that was how I created a horizontal effect for that card. So I'm using an A2 cardstock horizontally. And then I'll also glimmer the sentiment and then use the die to cut it out. This card, I'm not using the die to cut out the sunflowers. I'll just ink blend right on top. And with ink blending on top of foiling, it resists the ink. So if you get some ink on top of your foil, just brush it off with a soft dry cloth. And then I'll just pop up that sentiment in the center of that gorgeous fall design. For the wax seal kit of the month, this is the copper bead set, and the wax seal stamp is called Fall Meadow. I love creating like a time lapse of the wax melting. It really only takes a couple of minutes, but still seeing it all sped up like that, I just think it looks really cool to watch the different hues and colors of the wax melt. Then you just pour out the wax into a circular blob on a silicone mat. The Spellbinders original kit of wax seals has one in there. Then just place that wax seal stamp right on top. You're not pressing it down, you're just laying it on top and then letting go. And then once you peel it off, once it's set, you peel it off and it peels right off that silicone background. And look at those gorgeous little flowers. It's amazing the detail you can get with these wax seal stamps. It's really nice to have some type of metallic or other color paint pen to go over the top so that those little flowers and details really pop off the background of the wax. And I love the way the gold looks on the copper, but I just wanted to show that you could do another one with a different color as well. So I'll pour out my wax again and making sure to just keep it in that circular format that it comes out of the spoon, and then just place that wax seal stamp on top. Again, don't push down. You don't need to press or anything, just lay it on top. This time I'm using a silver and it does come out nice because you can really see everything, but I think I like the gold the best, but look at how pretty that is as well. So this is another example of the Glimmer Kit of the month. This time I did die cut the top of those sunflowers and then I cut it down to a vertical A2. I'm using some cord from Spellbinders and a wax seal adhesive circle from Spellbinders. These to me are brilliant because it makes it really easy to attach wax seals to cards. So instead of trying to melt some wax on there and then melt the thing on top and melt them, it's much easier to just use the perfectly placed wax seal circle adhesives, and they really do hold down onto the card and the twine as well. So they're a pretty good, strong adhesive circle. Then I pop up the sentiment from the Glimmer Kit, and I called this one a day. I like the white on the cream and then that gold on top. I don't know about you, but fall cannot come soon enough, especially the fall weather. So I was super excited to work with this month's Spellbinders Kit clubs. Was there something that caught your eye this month? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. YouTube thinks you might want to check out this video next. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, we gotta put the fan back on right now, like right now.